from hell. They complain and they do nothing but bitch. Take a listen.
These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. We don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it. Thank you very much.
That knocking is vehement agreement from his cabinet members there. I just wonder what the reaction is in your district to have that from the highest office in the land.
It's disgusting. It's completely disgusting. These are Americans that he is calling garbage.
Probably missed it, but the fraud investigation in Minnesota for both Ilhan Omar's state and Governor Tim Walz's grand state have been moving forward very rapidly. As you all recall, there was a tremendous amount of interest in the Autism and Learning Centers specifically with the fraud that was documented. Well, here's the latest.
This was a $6 million scheme run by a man who was just 22 years old when he opened this supposed autism clinic, Star Autism Center in St. Cloud. Abdi Najib Yusuf admitted that his he called them investors, brought in unqualified staff, family members as young as 18 to do medical services. And then they recruited children from Somali families to receive services in return for kickbacks, which were also paid with taxpayer money. Many of the kids didn't even have autism, but Yusuf admits they fraudulently got those diagnoses. After 4 years, Star Autism Center had racked up $6 million in reimbursements. Yusuf sent $200,000 to Kenya and spent $100,000 on a Freightliner semi. He did not say how much of the $6 million he kept for himself.
Again, look at this figure. I mean, it's just staggering when you see that the amount of money that's been fraudulently obtained in Minnesota is just staggering. Last we looked, by the way, it was upwards of $9 to $15 billion, all under Tim Walz's nose. And in this instance, we have a 22-year-old who opened up an autism clinic and accepted family members, sent $200,000 to Kenya, but for some reason, some 18-wheeler, and had over $6 million in reimbursements. But don't lose sight of the person that really did a tremendous amount of the legwork. It wasn't Tim Walz. It was a 23-year-old with a camera, Nick Shirley. So for those of you who missed this, this is where the story specifically to Minnesota's massive autism and Medicaid fraud, this is where it started with Nick Shirley's efforts. Have a look at this clip.
Going to a lot of these daycare centers, we're trying to find a spot for our little boy Joey, but we thought maybe we could check him in the autism center because none of the daycare centers are open. Yeah, and how many kids do you guys have at this autism center?
I can't give you a number now.
Like more than 5?
Probably. Yeah.
Probably, so you don't really know?
Yeah.
What do you guys think about like the fraud that's been labeled on the autism centers here? What do you guys do think about the fraud, or how come the autism centers are popping up?
I can't answer. What news? Are you a news reporter?
My name's Nick. We're doing a little documentary trying to find little Joey a spot to put himself in one of these centers here, because there's
asking us about
the fraud. Yeah, because we want to make sure we're going to legit business if we're going to bring our little boy Joey here.
This is not a Joey spot. But that's our number on you. But this is we can't let you guys in. So.
Okay, thank you. So once again, little Joey, he can't even go to daycare, and now they won't even accept him if he has autism.
And again, no kids. Couldn't tell you how many kids they serve.
After being able to provide.
So again, Nick Shirley was the person that broke this. And let me remind you all, this is a 23-year-old with a GoPro camera that is doing the job that Tim Walz and his administration should be doing on vetting these kinds of organizations. There should be a whole statewide investigation, but what is Tim Walz doing? He's presenting himself as a victim. Well, he will be a victim no more, because Pam Bondi and the FBI are now reportedly constructing, as this title says here, significant cases against current members of Congress and elected officials in Minnesota, specifically to some of this fraud.
This is a Fox News alert. Saturday in America continuing to track fraud allegations all across the country. We've seen it in Maine. We brought you some questions about some funding that allegedly was misused in Maine. Those were private donations. Then California. And now, here's the next state, Massachusetts. Now, the state's auditor just released a report revealing massive fraud within programs like Mass Health, the Department of Transitional Assistance, and the Department of Early Education and Care. These are all programs that provide social services to the Massachusetts community. And as you can see, there was over $4 million in fraud uncovered in the state's SNAP program alone. Another $1.3 million connected to the state's Mass Health program, and hundreds of thousands of dollars found in other state programs. We're also learning of 22 civil recoveries that reclaimed nearly $800,000 in fraudulent overpayments. Now, the total amount of fraud in fiscal year 2025 alone was nearly $12 million. That's in 1 year. That's your money. Now, as all this fraud is being exposed, President Trump is reportedly planning to sign an executive order establishing a new fraud task force. Signaling its importance, it will be led by Vice President J.D. Vance.
So again, Donald Trump mentioned that in his State of the Union address. My question really for you, because to me the answer is quite obvious, but let's hear your thoughts. What's the common theme between Minnesota, between Massachusetts, New York, and California? We've seen that the fraud in California makes Minnesota pale in comparison. And Minnesota right now is well into the double digits of billions of dollars of fraud. So how much fraud is happening under Governor Gavin Newsom's nose? Right now, the initial estimates are multiples of Minnesota. But what's the common thread? The common thread is that these are all blue state governors, led by blue state Democrat governors, led by also a huge movement and push for sanctuary states, and no vetting. So when you have lax investigation arms in Minnesota specifically, I mean, this is, again, I'm going to remind you that we had a 23-year-old with a GoPro uncover billions of dollars that have been stolen statewide in Minnesota. So this is the job that investigative journalists should be doing, and this is the job that the investigators should be doing. And what are they doing? They're actually looking the other way or involved. And that's where Pam Bondi's going, and that's exactly where J.D. Vance will be going as he's leading Donald Trump's newly announced Department of Fraud. J.D. Vance will be in charge. So let me know your thoughts. Again, are we going to see the same thing that we're seeing in both Massachusetts and Minnesota, in California and New York? I think there's no doubt the answer is going to be yes. But I want to know what your thoughts are and what you think that number will be. Right now, again, it's 14 to 15 billion in Minnesota alone, and we see just the initial figures of some of the fraud before really the investigators like Nick Shirley get involved in Minnesota. What do you think we're going to see in Massachusetts? What do you think we're going to see in New York? What do you think we're going to see specifically with Gavin Newsom in California? If you've yet to subscribe to America First Alerts, please do so. We'd love to have you along for the ride, and we'll see you in the next story.
We won! Okay, let's go.